Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Rainmaker story. I'm quite excited to be doing this one with my dear friend Geet Taneja. She is the founder of Alchemy with Geet. She has had 8 years of corporate experience working with large groups and the ministries and has delivered over 10,000 hours in training and coaching as a neuroplastician and a life coach. She is also the first Eutactics and FasterEFT practitioner in India. Welcome to this episode, Geet.
Thank you so much, Nishtha. I'm so excited to be here and to be talking about this amazing topic that you've chosen and the work that you're doing on gender equality, because it's very close to my heart as well.
Thank you so much. I think we've always found common interests, be it back in our college days or today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll straight dive into the questions and what all we're going to discuss today. So there's so much talk today around people, burning out or facing issues in managing their personal and professional lives. And this is more so a lot for women. For instance, while writing my book, Awakening the Rainmaker, I did a lot of research and it showed that only 22% women feel that they're taught the value of self confidence as children. The most commonly taught values to them are hard work and respect. And this leads them to changing the trajectory of their careers also as they grow up because they're always afraid to take risks or they're always second guessing themselves. They face imposter syndrome, or they always feel, do I deserve this next big promotion? Will I be able to, lead a big team or take on this high visibility project? So, what role do you see the subconscious playing here? Or how can people manage their imposter syndrome and these insecurities better?
Hmm. That's a really amazing question and such a relevant aspect that needs to be talked about. And that is something I work a lot with in my work, especially with women. And when we talk about this problem, we normally try to address just what's happening around us at a physical plane, at just a conscious level. However, the roots of this are much deeper than our conscious mind. So just to give the people listening a brief idea, so a mind is divided into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So only 10% of a mind is the conscious mind, and rest 90% is the subconscious mind, which stores all our experience from the time we were born, all the memories, emotions, programs, conditionings, everything is stored. So our life is actually being created by our subconscious, the material that we've been holding on in our subconscious mind. So the reason women feel this need to overcompensate, to really push themselves so hard, to perform in every area of their life, to be amazing caretakers, to excel in the professional world, to look good and do so much more in their lives, somewhere takes root in your childhood. So, like personally, I share my experience. I am, I have a sister, and we're just two sisters, and we don't have a brother. And when we were growing up, there was a lot of pressure that I noticed, that my parents faced from society, relatives, that, oh my God, if you don't have a son, there's something wrong, that it's very important. And being the elder daughter, unknowingly, even though my parents never said a thing, I felt that because I am not a boy, there's something missing in me. There's something less in me, like I'm not enough. And from then, unconsciously, I developed this habit where I felt I had to be better than men, where I had to compete men all my life. So I became a tomboyish because of it. Being feminine starts feeling like a weakness. That you have to be masculine to be able to succeed in life, to make your parents proud, to be good at everything. And that is where the seeds of this bias, whether in men or in women, that gets sown. And because of that, when we are not aligned with who we truly are, when we're not comfortable with that, it will always translate as stress in our lives, struggle in different areas of our life, health issues, and so much more.
This is so relatable, Gabe, because it's again two sisters at my side as well. And we've always, heard people say that, oh, she's doing so well academically. Yeah, she's not your daughter, she's your son. So even a high achieving woman is
Yeah.
equated to being a man. And that subconsciously plays in us. And in fact, that's what I've covered in the first section of the book, where I talk about that we need to get the upbringing part right. We need to stop sending those, subconscious signals to our children and sow those seeds of biases. We need to let kids be kids and let them just explore whatever they want to be. You don't have to have gender roles for qualities. Quality is at the end of the day a quality. Like a girl can be courageous, a boy can be courageous, a girl can be a boy can be into performance arts, cooking, or those sort of things, and a girl may not be interested in it. So stop having gender roles towards things. Let people be, and I think that would liberate not just women but men as well. So
Absolutely, because men feel that they have to be so rigid, they have to be so contracted, they have to be so hard, they can't be sensitive, they can't have the feelings of being emotional and all of those things that they're not permitted to be. And that is a big problem as well in the corporate world, because we're not allowed to access our feminine qualities, which both men and women need to be doing to be successful, to be happy, to have a very well balanced life in every area of our life.
yeah. So building on to this and talking about the corporate world, we've often seen these stereotypes, Keith, wherein women who reach a certain level in their careers, they struggle with things like, okay, do I need to have a participative style of management because that is what people expect of me, or if a man on the other hand wants to be participative but he thinks that no, maybe I need to be more, let's say, aggressive or more to the point because that is what is expected of me. So,
Mhm.
how can people fight these stereotypes and stay true to their management styles? How can they bring their whole selves to work and be
Mhm.
honest to it? How can they
Mhm.
not give in to these biases?
Yeah, that's a very important point to discuss. So, one thing when we talk about the energy work that we do, the mental health work we do, so there are some things called, which I just mentioned, the masculine aspects and the feminine aspects, which is present in each one of us. Like you will have masculine, feminine, any guy would have masculine, feminine, all, and both they are the qualities that they both possess are equally important. However, in our corporate world, so what has happened is under masculine qualities, there's toxic masculine qualities and healthy masculine qualities. So now, because of the whole toxic masculinity has become so prevalent that when we think about men leadership style of the masculine style, we think of aggression, we think of control, we think of domination. However, all of these are actually toxic masculine aspects. Neither men nor women need to be using this, but because women have spent their entire life to be like men, to match up to men, so they see these qualities in men and they feel that's the only way to be successful in the corporate world. When I was also working in the corporate sector, I used to see women at the top leadership and they used to feel the need to be extremely aggressive, to really shout and to put their point across, which honestly I did not see men doing. They could talk softly and still be able to do. So that comes also from our own inner inability to accept my own gifts and qualities, that I can get the same work done by being so the healthy masculine quality of opposite of aggression and controlling is actually being firm, being actually in charge, but without having to be rude or loud. All of that is not needed for anyone, men or women. That's the important part. And then the feminine qualities, which both men and women equally need to be employing. And you will see some of the great leaders, men use those qualities of, being much more receptive, more nurturing, more collaborative, more patient. All of these qualities are equally important for a good leader. So it's not important that we just look at the toxic qualities and try to develop our leadership style from them. We need to let go. So that's where, the subconscious work comes into play. We have to identify where is this whole thing coming from, because aggression takes such a massive toll on your health, physical, mental health, that we don't realize it drains us out. It exhausts us. It really affects us adversely. So nobody needs to be using aggression as a way to get things done. There are much better collaborative ways to get things done in life. So when we start identifying that, where am I carrying all of this feeling of aggression towards? And it also in women to a great extent comes from the fact that, we feel that women have been suppressed so much. We've seen in our houses the patriarchy. So, it somewhere feels like, we have to fight back. So that is also not healthy to be doing that. We need to let go of this conditioning from ourselves to be able to forgive, to be able to let go and not operate from any kind of resentment and anger. Then we'll be able to be at ease at the corporate space and yet excel and succeed in life.
That's such a beautiful thought. And when you were talking about both men and women having these feminine and masculine qualities and just drawing on the best of both worlds, names like Ratan Tata or Falguni Nair were coming to my mind. That these are the
Yeah,
people who've shown very collaborative styles of working. Like Ratan Tata specifically, you associate him with collaboration, being sympathetic, and just compassion, being in touch with his human side. And a
yeah,
Falguni Nair, let's say, who's broken those age and gender barriers, starting up at the age of 50, despite being a career banker. When you look at these stories, you see actually you don't have to define yourself by the stereotypes or just live up to what the society has sort of defined for you. That's
yeah,
actually
absolutely.
a bang on point. And this leads me on to the next part, like you briefly mentioned in your last two answers as well, that there are many health repercussions that are happening from people taking too much stress in their professional lives. And this is more so for women that I've seen, Geet, and especially after COVID. There have been so many reports and just news articles around, specifically in India, our women workforce participation rate falling down to as low as 9%, which is in line with a war-torn country like Yemen. Or there are women who are increasingly facing issues around fertility. There is PCOD, PCOS, and of course the whole stress of starting your family if you're in the professional world, because it's well known that your professional clock and your biological clock are inversely related. Right around at the mid management levels, when you want to be out there, that's also the time when your body is like, maybe do you want to start a family? So there's that extra pressure that women always feel. And I always say this, that we should talk about this in all forums, because the solution is not becoming a man. Our biologies are different, our anatomies are different. And for that, if we need extra support, which many companies are doing through menstrual leave policy, through maternity and paternity leave, now they call it parental leave for both the parents, for instance. So we need to talk about these topics. I'm going to throw this out to you as well, that how can we cater to these health issues, and how can women in particular have more fulfilling personal and professional lives?
Okay, so I'll break this into three parts, your question. So the first part, the caretaker aspect that you talked about. So in COVID especially, so I personally saw some of my friends who were having full-time corporate jobs. They had to take care of the kids at home. They had to do the household chores, do the cooking because there was no help at that time. And it was a really bad state. And it was taking a toll on women. So somewhere where that comes from is there is a lack of self-worth in you to be able to be okay to ask for help and to be okay with receiving help. So that comes from this space, that, oh my God, my husband cannot do more than this, he's a man, he doesn't do more than this. So only if I first value my health, my mind, my body, my self-worth is high enough, then I can say, Ki, this is how much I can do. And I would respect, appreciate if you can contribute the rest of it, because it's not possible. I'm not the only one responsible for raising the kid. So when you start working on your self-worth, that's when you are able to ask for these things from a place of confidence and ease. And it doesn't need to be a fight. It doesn't need to be a struggle. If you feel you deserve it, then the other person will also reciprocate in the same way, because they see your, worth, and you totally deserve to get all the help because you're good at everything, but you don't need to be. You need to be able to get help. And the second part that you talked about, the health aspects like the PCOS and so many health related issues that women are facing. So that is such a relevant thing. And I work with so many women in individual sessions or group sessions where they're going through PCOS. And so some of the interesting research studies have come out, and there are proper documented emotional and mental causes that have been found for different diseases and health issues. So for PCOS, it has been found, and I mean, for people listening, if you are hearing this, you just observe, about in your own life. And if any of these things you ever experience, even unconsciously, maybe not consciously. So in PCOS, it has been found that when you're growing up, there was a lot of emphasis or relevance given to sons or boys, or you felt that you had to be the son of the house. And even though it might not have been very strongly implied, but it's a very unsaid thing that we tend to pick up as children. And because of that, girls feel, they start putting more responsibility on themselves, that I have to do this, I have to earn, I have to provide for my parents. And a lot of other burdens and responsibilities come on them. And also, there is this discomfort with being a girl. Whether you've seen the relationship between your parents, where you feel the mother being the weak one or the one who's suppressed, and you just totally dissociate with the feminine qualities, and you feel that that's a failure. Being a woman is something bad and it's a failure. So you cut off that aspect within yourself, which is what is very important. And when you cut off these aspects, when you overburden yourself, you try to cut off your feminine self, there is a hormonal balance that occurs because of that. So, that comes before. So, like how we know that PCOS and everything is a hormonal problem. But how does the hormonal problem occur is because of this. When you totally discard your femininity, you're uncomfortable with your menstruation, you feel very dirty about it. So, that is all those places where it's coming from. And when we start understanding and use different tools and techniques that we have nowadays, we can actually reverse these health conditions. So I personally work with a lot of doctors who use alternative healing modalities to be able to reverse PCOS. I have personally had the amazing experiences of working with women and who were fully able to reverse PCOS just using alternative healing.
Right. That's a very interesting aspect, Geet. I think at the end of the day, it just boils down to being comfortable with your anatomy and not tiptoeing around it. And
Absolutely.
that applies both in personal and the professional world as well, right? Like you should be comfortable enough to talk in your organization and say, okay, I can't turn into work today because I have very bad menstrual cramps.
Yeah.
Or I'm busy because my kid is sick, or I have a PTA meeting to attend, those sort of things. And why only women do that? Even men should be able to do that. They also
Absolutely.
have commitments towards family, and they should be very open to talk about it. And
Yeah.
that's when you build a very inclusive workplace where people are not scared to bring in their true selves to work. Because at the end of the day, work is just a part of your life, and you cannot just segregate the two completely. It needs to go on parallel tracks. So that leads.
And also, it's very interesting when, as you said, that you need to bring all parts of yourself to work. When you actually accept all parts of you, you become a force that's unstoppable. The potential, the richness of your whole abilities, capabilities, it just boomerangs, it just magnifies when you start accepting all parts of you and be at ease with being yourself. Then the intuitive, creative, all kinds of abilities really magnify like anything.
I think at the end of the day, we just need to normalize being human. We
Yeah.
at times, just like people say that social media accentuates only the positive aspects of people's lives. Like everybody in the world is only having vacations, is eating out, shopping, making friends. Similarly, in the professional
Yeah.
and the personal world also, we need to humanize things, that people have off days, they have like brilliant days as well. Let's
Yeah.
normalize it all together. As long as you're delivering results and you're doing your usual stuff in the business, If you have some off day, it's fine. Your gender has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and it's important to have off days. I mean, that's basically every single human being. We don't need to hide that I'm having an emotional meltdown. It's okay to have it. It's a very important part of your growth, actually. If you don't accept, so, toxic positivity is something which has become so rampant. When, you're always told, be positive. Oh, why are you sad? You don't need to be sad. Be happy. But that's not how our body functions, just like we have the sun and the moon, and every cycle is equally important. Similarly, all your emotions are equally important, and you should allow yourself to flow through them. And that's what is the completion of your human experience.
Yeah. So just leading me, connecting this to the professional journeys of people. So this is the thing that I've talked about in the book as well. For instance, when we talk about equality and inclusion, it's not just the right thing to do, but it's the most logical and the most financially rewarding thing to do. There are enough studies which prove that companies which are more inclusive perform better on financial parameters like sales, revenues, and profits. They enjoy much better brand value among their stakeholders, be it your customers, suppliers, and also they win the war of talent. People want to join such companies, and today we are in a world where organizations are spending millions into hiring people and into training them, and then to do what? To lose out on them. That just doesn't make much economic sense, right? So just to talk about now the inclusivity part of the bit, like you're amalgamating your personal and professional lives together, what role do you see organizations can play in this to ensure that their workforce is more productive and uh, more mentally present and at peace at the work? Yeah.
Yeah, so I work with a lot of corporates, and there are two key aspects in this that you touched upon. One is, of course, the mental health aspect of it, which has become very important now. So I was just reading somewhere that how now we've actually upgraded ourselves from the basic survival needs, and all of those don't matter anymore. It's the amount of mental peace that an organization gives to you, the work-life balance that it gives to you. These things have become really important for people now. And for an organization to be able to give that, trainings about the aspects of mental health are so pertinent now, and they just cannot be done away with. Because once you have these kind of mental health trainings, especially for your managers, your leadership, it's very important when the managers are able to understand these concepts, they trickle that down. And when that happens, the productivity enhances like anything in teams and organizations, because every person has immense potential. And when we study the subconscious mind, we find that we're hardly using any of our potential as yet. And when we start clearing our subconscious limitations, our past baggages, our conditionings that are holding us back, the baggage of the things, the failures, or any unpleasant things that have happened in our past, we actually see that the ability to perform and the unconscious programming, it actually enhances the team's possibilities of success way higher. And this is for all men and women. So it's very, very helpful when these trainings actually help you increase and enhance your performance. Then the second aspect, of the inclusion, diversity, gender equality. So, there are not just women, there are so many other aspects. There are genders that need to be included now. And there is such beautiful potential that is untapped right now. Women themselves have so much brilliance, which just because of various kinds of biases does not feel free, comfortable to fully flourish in an environment where they have to hide certain aspects of them, and they don't know if this will be okay, well, this is accepted or not, because of which they are not fully themselves. They're operating from a very limited space. They many times are operating from a lot of feeling of, that I need to compensate. And when you're living from a very stressful uh, body, when your body is in a stressful state, then your creativity comes down. your output comes down. Because at that time, what happens is your amygdala. So there's a part of your brain called the amygdala. And when you are habituated of being stressful, which in corporate world, most of the times it is, because we feel threatened, we feel fearful of meeting the targets, or, which becomes a very, it kind of dampens you to be able to fully operate, because of which your amygdala actually starts expanding over the years. And amygdala is the one which is responsible for secreting the stress hormones in your body, which leads to a lot of health issues, which leads to obesity, which leads to, your mind not functioning at its full capacity. It's actually your body functions at a survival mode then. How to, be in a survival, but not in a thriving mode. So that is why the more relaxed employees are, the more their potential increases, because their body mind is now free to think of what else can we do to get the results that we need. We don't need to just like be pushing against the wall. There are innovative ways to get things done, and that's what opens up when you do that.
That's very interesting, Geet. I think it's like every dollar spent here can give you 100x output.
Oh my God, absolutely. And there's organizations like Google, they are actually tapping into this, that how they're working with the unconscious bias that each one of us has. And the moment you clear out your unconscious biases, first you become aware of them, then you release them, and then you transform them into an open-mindedness. And that's when brilliant, genius ideas can come into you. But
Yeah.
when you're operating with unconscious biases, there are so many clients, there are so many audiences. You cannot understand them anymore. You cannot connect with them the way you can without those biases. So that's why, a lot of organizations are investing so much in that now.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And it just reminds me of one of the interviews that I've done in the book. So Naya Sage, who's the founder of Baby Chakra, and she mentioned that even, for instance, during the fundraising discussions, she did face those biases because she was pregnant back then, and people, those investors, and today the company got acquired by the Good Glam Group, and which is a unicorn, and her company is doing so well. But those clutch of investors could not be a part of that opportunity because they had somewhere they had that bias in their mind. And when she became a mother, she said, I could perform way better at Baby Chakra because my target audience are mothers. So when I became a mother, I could bring in better products to the table, and people
Absolutely.
don't
That's so
realize that.
true.
Yeah.
And also, like when you see from those investors' point of view, when they're seeing this person who's pitching, this, when you actually remove your unconscious biases, the only role that we have is to be able to see the true potential in that person that they're presenting outside of their physical appearances, or outside of what they are pregnant, or what they are, what gender they belong to. So to be able to see that potential is a gift of a clear mind, of an open mind.
And that's very important for organizations, especially as you said, the managers and the leadership. Because in any organization, it's those managers or those senior people who are hiring more people, who are bringing in younger talent into the company. So it's very important to de-bias, to have like regular de-bias drives in the company. Because we often see many, and this actually did happen to me when I was starting out, or when I was in those like the mid management levels. People would at times in interviews I was questioned, oh, so you're newly married, so you may start a family soon, or at some point you'll start. How will you manage work and life? And it would always make me wonder, does my husband get asked the same questions? I don't think so.
Hmm.
So I think it's very important that we companies invest in these things to get the right talent who can actually take you to great heights.
Absolutely. That's so relevant.
So now we'll move on to the last question of the interaction, Geet. So you are a neuroplastician. So I would like you to brief a little about what is neuroplasticity and how can it help people manage their personal and professional lives better.
Okay. So neuroplasticity is actually a very amazing discovery of our brain, and it has actually, really advanced the mental health and wellness industry and so many other aspects. So in neuroplasticity, it has been found that all the memories and experiences that have happened with us, they stay with us in our subconscious mind. And those memories are actually what create our reality going forward. Okay, so there is something called the reticular activating system in your brain, which is like a gatekeeper. Okay, so if you come across certain things in your surroundings, meeting people, opportunities, anything. So if inside your subconscious, if the memories, the beliefs, the programs are a match to that, only then you will be able to come across that opportunity, because we're receiving millions of bytes of information per second and a brain cannot take everything in. So that's the role of the RAS, the reticular activating system, that it filters the information that's coming at you from all directions, and it will only allow the information in which is a match to what already exists inside your subconscious. So if you have a belief that success comes very hard, I have to struggle to be successful in life. So if there is an opportunity sitting right in front of you, which is going to, like fast track your career, you will not be able to access that. You will not even see it because it's not a match to your beliefs, your programming. Maybe you grew up listening to your parents say, oh, you have to work hard. Easy success never lasts. Things like that. They become unconscious beliefs. So now what happens is all of these memories in your mind are running your life and you don't even realize it. Just 10% of a conscious mind is what we use to work hard and make things done, while this 90% is sitting there, which is going against you, which is not collaborating with you. So in neuroplasticity, what we do is we allow your 100% brain mind to work in conjecture with your goals. So if you want to have, like if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to have a wealth fund by, this age, if you start identifying what are the different memories and beliefs which are actually not in sync with your goals, and you use various techniques of neuroplasticity. So there's something called the memory reconsolidation process, which has been researched and discovered by scientists, and it's created big ripples. So in memory reconsolidation process, it's been found that your memories or your brain is plastic. Nothing is permanent in your brain. Everything can change. It's all malleable. So using techniques like Eutactics, FasterEFT, you can change your memories completely. Anything traumatic, bad that has happened in your life, you can completely flip it into something positive. And the moment that happens, your whole belief system changes. And then, life, whatever goals you have, they become way more easier in your life. So that's this new revolution in the wellness industry, that you don't really have to, like struggle, work so hard to get everything in life. If you start using neuroplasticity, everything that you want comes so easily to you.
That's very interesting, Geet, and I really hope that people are able to benefit the most out of it.
Yeah, so I was really amazed to see the response in India. So it was, I think, a year and a half back that I got Eutactics, which is a simplified form of neuroplasticity to India. And from the launch within 6 months, I had a wait list of 3 months going on, and it still continues because
Wow.
the results are just astounding. The kind of changes that happen is like unbelievable. So the response is definitely, and the goal is to help it reach more and more people so that we can all have a life of ease, balance, joy, success, and happiness.
That's the aim actually, and I see it sinking in with the biases bit so well, because you can just, as you said, things are malleable in your brain. So if you're just able to flip certain things around, you can actually harness the your power completely.
Absolutely. With bias, it's so relevant, but it's important to identify by just consciously thinking I cannot change these biases because they're very deep rooted. They are the gifts of the mass consciousness, the society, the childhood programming. So you need to use advanced techniques like neuroplasticity to be able to flip these biases in everyone, not just women and men, everyone.
Yeah, that's true. So this has been very helpful and very engaging, Geet. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the discussion, and I hope most of our listeners enjoy it too and find it useful.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure talking about these things with you, and I wish you great success on your book going further.
Thank you, Geet. Likewise.
Thank you.